My name's Taylor Rowan, and this is Confident Risks. Today, we're going to talk about self-confidence. Not just confidence in what you know, confidence in your product, but confidence in yourself. It's important. It's your brand. Let's get started. So we think about this self-confidence, and how is that different from business confidence? How is that different from just confidence in general? Here's the difference. To be confident in a product, to be confident about a process, to be confident in something that you're trying to move forward with is one thing. You never have to say a word when it comes to that. You, though, know that you're confident in it to move forward with it. You can start a business with confidence in your product. Self-confidence, though. Self-confidence is confidence in yourself. It's how you portray yourself to other people. It's how you sell yourself to other people. Because at the very beginning, the biggest thing that you have is branding. And what's that branding? It's you. You are the branding. You are the face of your company. And you have to be self-confident in yourself in order to sell your product. In order to convince people or to let people know about your product, you have to be self-confident. Here's what self-confidence is. Self-confidence is you thinking what other people think of you. And think about that. There's a lot of thinking there. Self-confidence is the thought process you have of what other people think of you. So it's a two-way street there. You're thinking what other people are thinking. Here's the best example I have of this. I can remember back to about 5 Thanksgivings ago. I was with my family. We were sitting around the Thanksgiving table there, and it was a Thursday. And I can remember on Friday, it was my in-laws and my wife and her sister and brother, and we were all sitting around on a Friday after Thanksgiving. We were thinking to ourselves, what are we going to do today? So I actually had to run to the store real quick. I ran to the store, and it was right around Christmas time. Obviously, it was just starting to kick off, and I was purchasing something. I can remember seeing this elf outfit sitting there, and I was like, man, that would be a funny outfit for somebody to wear. And I'm walking around the store, and now I'm kind of fixating on this thing. A lot of you could probably tell now I tend to do that. So I'm fixating on, how can I make and embarrass somebody with that outfit? So I started thinking a little bit more. I was like, we got 6 people back at the house. That was an embarrassing outfit. I saw a few more. So I walked back up front, and I remember I was like, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to purchase all of these outfits. There was, I found, I think 6 to 7 outfits. I'm going to purchase all these outfits. I'm going to put them in bags. I'm going to give them to family members when we get back home. And we're going to make each one of these family members put whatever's in that bag on, and we're going to go to the trampoline park. And we're just going to have fun on a Friday. I know my kids would love it. I knew that a lot of the adults would probably be embarrassed by it, but I was like, you know what? It's a fun thing for us to do. So I bought the outfits. I go home, and I'm handing them out to everybody. And everyone's like, what are these outfits? It's like, just don't open them yet. We're going to draw some numbers. Whatever number you draw is the bag that you're going to have to open, and you're going to have to wear this outfit. And people are thinking like, okay, they kind of know where I'm going with this thing. So they start drawing numbers, and, so-and-so had 3 and so-and-so had 5. So then they switching bags. And so everyone has now the bag that they're supposed to have. And we all open them at the same time, and people are just pulling their outfits out. I remember my father pulling his outfit out, and he's got this elf outfit. It's tights, it's this long cloak, it's this weird hat, and he's looking at this thing, and he's just like, are you kidding me? Another one we had a onesie that had like basically the shirt off on it. It just looked like it, but there was just these ridiculous outfits, and everyone's looking at these outfits like, we have to wear these to the trampoline park. And of course, the kids are so excited, and all the adults are just sitting there like, are you kidding me? But here's what that did. That right there is a self-confidence. And why do I bring this up? Because when we showed up at the trampoline park, I can remember we're all sitting in the car, and we're sitting there like, are you kidding? We're going to have to walk in with these outfits on. Like, why can't we just go to the trampoline park? It's because we're in the holiday spirit. That's why we're going to do it. So we all walk in together. And I can remember even myself being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're about to do this. We're going to walk in. What are people going to think? So we walk in there, and of course, everybody was just laughing and having a good time. And people came up to us about how much fun we're having and so on. But put yourself in that shoe. Think about a ridiculous outfit that you have to put on. You have to put this outfit on, and you have to go out in public. Here's what that does. We start thinking right away about, what are other people going to think about me in this situation? And that is what deters us in most situations. But here's the reality of that. All of us are sitting in the car. We're thinking about how absolutely ridiculous this is going to be. And we walk in. But put yourself in the shoes of everybody else who is watching us walk in. I can almost guarantee you that there was nobody in that trampoline park that looked and was just like, what are these people doing? They should not be here. This is ridiculous. No one thought that. Every single person that saw us walk in wished they were part of that family. And why did they think that? Because we were having fun. We were doing something different. People are then probably start thinking, man, we should do something like this. But the thought process that everybody else had was the exact opposite of what we were building up in our head. And we do this all the time when it comes to things. We start all of a sudden going to the exact negative of what people are going to think. Someone cuts us off in traffic and we think to ourselves, oh man, that person is just, they're being a complete bonehead, or that's not reality. Maybe we think about that person, maybe they had to get to the hospital really quick. What is that first instinct that we start thinking in our head? Because in reality, we've all been that person. We're typically that person who maybe does these things, and that wasn't our intention. We have to start taking our mindsets back the other way and start thinking to ourselves, not necessarily the negative that people are going to think about us, but the positive that people are going to think about us. And this is so big when it comes to business startup, because we have these ideas. We're confident now in this idea. We start moving forward with this idea, and now it comes time to sell. Now it comes time to have our first client in. Now it comes time to whatever it is to do that first thing. And our confidence a lot of times can just be our self-confidence can be just absolutely low. And why do we do this to ourselves? It's because we sit there and think, well, what if somebody else thinks this is stupid? Who cares? Most people are not going to think that. Actually, everyone is going to. Most people who think about the startup idea that you have will be jealous more than anything. I don't care what the business idea is. The fact that you were able to step out and to do that, the mindset of everybody else around you will not be, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're doing that. It will be, man, why didn't I do that? I think back to starting this podcast. I couldn't even think about sitting in front of a camera and talking to it and talking to people and be like, oh my gosh, what would people think about the things that I say? Am I going to say the right things? I don't care. I'm telling everybody my thought process. That's what I'm putting out there. I'm putting out the thought processes that I have and how I go through things. And if people think that it's a great or they can grab something from it, then so be it. And if people don't, then they just won't watch. That's the reality of it. We have to start taking that mindset a lot more into the things that we do. We have to be confident in ourselves and understanding that most people watching us from afar are going to be jealous more than anything. That's what it boils down to. Another situation I can think of is back when I was in college in social settings. You're going out at night, maybe with a group of friends to go do something. And maybe it's time that you have to walk up and talk to somebody, whether it's girl, guy, whoever it is. You're talking to this person, you build that self-confidence up like, oh man, what if they reject me? Who cares? What if they do? Then you move on. That's the reality of it. That's what gets our butterflies going a lot of the times is the self-confidence. And the encouragement I have to a lot of you watching is in order to build self-confidence, we have to stop thinking about what other people are thinking. We can't do that. That's not a way to absolutely move forward. You cannot base decisions in life on what you think other people are thinking. It has to be based off of our own thought process. And that's what happens when we start the business, is that we have to be confident in ourselves. We have to realize that we know what we're talking about. We know this product now. Now, all I have to do is share my excitement with other people, kind of like what I'm doing right now in this self-confidence. I'm excited to talk to you guys about this. That's the feeling we get when we become self-confident. Isn't necessarily about, oh my gosh, I got to talk to somebody about this. I got to talk in front of a group of people. Now we get to talk about the things that we love. And we do that gets us a lot more self-confident. I'm going to take this even one step further. A lot of the times, the self-confidence comes from what we experienced in high school or before. And there's some people listening right now. Maybe I caught your attention. Maybe I didn't. But this can also be one of those things that's kind of tucked back in the back of your head that you may not think's true, but a lot of the times it is. We tend to take ourselves back to high school. And we think about confidence maybe at that point. And we had three ways to compare ourselves to other people. It was the grades we make. Are we an A student? Are we a B student? Are we a C student? We base that on, are we smart or are we not smart? A lot of us tend to do that. We have the sports that we play. We have the music, talent that we have. Are you a singer? Are you a gymnast? What do you do as a hobby, really? You have a way to compare yourself that way as well. And then the third way is your social setting. Are you the popular person? Are you not the popular person? How do you even say if someone's popular? Maybe people who aren't popular think them. How do you have that social setting, okay? So those three areas, those tend to follow us for a very long time after high school. So much so, and I may be hitting some strings here for people, I don't know, maybe this is just myself, but you tend to let those thoughts like, man, I was this popular person in high school. Now I'm getting out of high school and oh man, I still feel like I'm that popular person. I really don't do much, but your self-confidence is maybe up and maybe you're not doing much with your life. Okay. Or maybe you're that person who didn't have the self-confidence in high school. Maybe you thought yourself, man, I was a C student. I'm not that smart. I can't really do anything on my own. Here's the problem with all of those thoughts that we're having and thinking back to that is when you were in your high school, you're in this little pool of people, okay? And there's each high school kind of has this pool of people. You get to college, and really that pool kind of shrinks a little bit to some more people that you're really comparing yourself to. But here's what happens after you graduate either high school or college. You now have the population of the world is who you have to compare yourself to, okay? Those high school moments are gone. And we think back to maybe the people who made the best grades and think, man, I just wasn't really that smart. I can't do what they do. Here's what a lot of times happens there, though. The people who made A's, and this isn't every single person, okay? I'm just saying the general public, and this is to give encouragement to a lot of people as well. And that's what this is meant to do. Is maybe you made the best grades and you're comparing yourself to that person. Man, I just couldn't do what that person does. Well, you got to also take a step back and think as well, yes, that person can do a really good job researching what they're supposed to research. They could do a really good job of doing what's asked of them, and they can go home and they can really lock in, okay, I was told to do this. This is what I need to do. Okay. And they study it and they take a test on it and they're really good at it. Then there's people like myself who was a C student. And my mind was just constantly going with everything else. It wasn't necessarily, I wasn't to beat by the drum of anybody else. That's how I saw it. Okay, I was supposed to do this and study. I don't have time for that. I want to go do this. I want to do that, which probably a lot of you can relate to, especially if you're looking to start your own business. And here's why that is. A majority of the time, when you're that person who's making the really good grades and who's able to focus in and lock in and do things that you're asked to do, and you're really able to hold that schedule, especially at a younger age, it's because you have those processes. It's because you have those things to follow. And a lot of times those people end up going to college thereafter, but they get done to college like, okay, now what? Well, now you got to get a job. How do I get told that I'm doing a really good job? I've had these grades to tell me I've been doing really good. Now what do I do? Now I got to get a job where someone maybe is telling me I'm doing a really good job. But here's what happens with that second group of people, this C students, the people maybe a little bit more free thinking, and maybe it was worse grades than that, I don't know, is that you have always thought to yourself, man, I could either do this on my own or I don't need to really go by the beat of the drum of what this person's telling me. And when you get into the business world, that's what I've talked about in so many episodes, is that's the thought process that you really have to have. Now, there's also laziness that can be involved, right, in some of these situations. But for us to really compare the smartness of what I made grade-wise in high school, that's no way to compare ourselves on who is maybe street smart versus book smart. And like I said, there are the outliers of maybe the lazier people, or maybe there's people who made really good grades that are also able to think that. I'm not trying to categorize people, but I'm also trying to give encouragement to those who maybe think and are putting themselves in that situation of, oh, I wasn't the smartest person. That doesn't mean anything. That means that you weren't the smartest when it came to researching, putting yourself into that situation that you're being asked to. A lot of you were in that situation where you were thinking to yourself, man, I could do this better, or, oh, I could do this and this, or you always had that free thinking spirit. Those are the people a lot of times that start businesses. And when you start those businesses and you go down that route, that's the thought process you have to have. It's the free thought process. It's the free thinkers. It's the ones who think about, man, I could go do this. I could go do that. And when you have that thing that you really want to focus on and you build the confidence in, that then builds up your self-confidence. But we can't look back and keep comparing ourselves back to those situations. As I stated, a lot of us subconsciously don't realize we're doing it, but subconsciously you are comparing yourself back to those days on who was smart and who was not smart. You got to realize now it's an even playing field. You're graduated. We're all out on the business field. How are we going to make money? How are we going to be successful in life? That then gives you the chances to take your alternative routes and to start thinking about, okay, this is the route that I'm going down. I know I'm confident in the product I'm moving forward with. You build confidence in yourself and you stop thinking to yourself, what are other people thinking about me? I go back to the costume situation. Nobody wants to put a ridiculous outfit on and walk in somewhere. No one wants to do that. But if you start taking out the thought process of what are they going to think of me when I come in, yeah, there's going to be times where you look ridiculous, but you can't absolutely let that screw up your thought process. Self-confidence comes when you start saying, you know what, it doesn't matter what other people think. And you start having the opposite approach to things. You start thinking of things differently. If I was somebody else watching this, crap, I would be jealous of the fact that they're starting something on their own. And you know what? If you screw up, it's like watching somebody in the NFL or a professional athlete screw up and we think, oh man, that's so ridiculous. I can't believe they did that. In the back of all of our heads, we wish we were the ones probably doing that. Yeah, they made a mistake. They messed up. That's probably embarrassing for them. But at the end of the day, they're a professional athlete and getting paid what they are to do what they do. Okay, are we jealous of that? Or are we thinking to ourselves like, oh man, I would never put myself in that situation? That's what self-confidence is. It's when you stop thinking about what other people think of you and start realizing that in order for me to be productive, I have to pretend that I'm in a room by myself. I have to move forward in that direction. And it doesn't matter what other people think. If I'm confident in what I'm doing, just like this podcast, it doesn't matter if people come on or make fun of me or this. It's what I want to do. And it's what I love to do. And hopefully that self-confidence then can come out to those that are listening as well. So to wrap this up, there's 3 main takeaways from this. Takeaway number 1, confidence in a product and self-confidence are 2 different things. To be confident in a product, that means that you know the product. You never have to say a word. To be self-confident in something, you have to be able to talk to other people about that. And that self-confidence comes when you know something. When you know something and you know the product, it's a lot easier to talk about something. That's when self-confidence comes up. And that brings up point number 2, is your branding. Your self-confidence off at the very beginning is your branding. When people talk to you about something or people look at you, they're thinking about your product, okay? How are you portraying that? Are people more confident in my product now that they've talked to me, or are they less confident in my product? That's self-confidence, and that is your branding. The third takeaway is thought process. We have to get out of the thought process of thinking that other people are thinking what we're doing stupid. Thinking and thinking. Both of those, there's so much thinking that's happening there. So many words are being... Take the thought process out. Pretend for a second that you are in a room by yourself. Also, put yourself in other people's shoes. If they're watching that family walk in with all those outfits on around the holiday season, are people thinking to myself, oh, I don't want to be a part of that group? Or people thinking to themselves like, man, I wish I was a part of that group. I wish I would have thought of that. That's the self-confidence that we need to have. It's the self-confidence that's going to bring the positive out in people. People want to see the positive in you. We have to stop thinking so much that people want to see the negative. We see all these different comments maybe on social media or other things where we see a negative comment here or there. That's a very small percentage of the people who are commenting that. Majority of the people are looking at things saying, oh my gosh, they're jealous. They wish they could do it themselves. The self-confidence really has to come in knowing our product, being confident in what we're doing, knowing that we can talk to other people about it, knowing that we're the brand, and stop thinking about everybody else's thought process. Think about our own. The more we think about that, the less we're thinking about this. Become confident in yourself and do it. I hope you guys were able to take something from today, apply it to your everyday life, whether it's in the business world, at home, starting a new business, whatever it is. If so, please hit the like, hit the subscribe button. I absolutely love doing this for you guys. And until next time, stay sharp and stay resilient.